Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of MURG Mayhem, where one take can cause mayhem. Last episode of the program, of the show, podcast, whatever you want to call it. It's fine by me. I just call it MURG Mayhem. We ended up doing a lot of basically 60% of the teams in NBA free agency. We're basically just doing a continuation of it. There are still some free agents that are out. I'm just doing the list that I had from that piece of paper earlier from here. I don't know if you can still see it. It's a little glare, but that's what I did in last episode. And then this is some video game stuff I was just doing previously. But yeah, so we're just gonna pick right back up where we left off. But yeah, so what better way to start out with the biggest off-season moves, signings, trades, whatever. We're going to start off with Philadelphia. Philadelphia was very, very busy this offseason. They ended up getting Paul George for nothing. Signed in the max deal. I forgot the deal that he signed, but I know it's the max for sure. Paul George is going to the Philadelphia 76ers. The crazy part about this is it is 4 years, $211 million. That was the contract. His annual salary this year he's making $49 million, and then he'll be making 50 to 54. So crazy money. I mean, he deserves it, and I think this will be his last destination. He won't be able to be traded until December 15th, 2024. He doesn't have a trade clause in there. He does not. The one thing that he was asking for with the Clippers was a no trade clause, which the only guys that I feel like that deserve a no trade clause are Kevin Durant, LeBron, and Steph, and then maybe Embiid and Jokic. I mean, there's several, and maybe Giannis too. There's like maybe max maybe 12 to 15. I say 15 is a little on the heavy side, but I don't think he deserves a no trade clause in my opinion. He and Kawhi have gotten injured in their tenure with the Clippers. Those are his best. I don't really know which Paul George is the best Paul George, to be honest with you. I know OKC, that was probably his best. His best year was 2018, 2019, averaged 28 per game, averaged the most steals per game with 8 rebounds, 4 assists, ended up getting almost half a block too. So as far as a statistical standpoint or statistical view of the best Paul George, it's easily 2018, 2019. He was third in MVP voting, third in Defensive Player of the Year, 11th in Most Improved, because I think this was... No, this wasn't the year after his broken leg. I can't remember. That year was 2014, 2015. But yeah, he was an all-star, all-defensive first team, all-NBA first team in 2018, in 18-19. But, I mean, I don't really understand why the no-trade clause is such a grasp or something that's so important. I know you don't want to be traded, but if you don't have that no trade clause, and you go to I understand if you go to somewhere like Detroit or some terrible team, I understand that. But I mean, what if you get traded for another star? That's just the what if capabilities that none of us are going to really understand why or what could happen there. But But yeah, he's going to Philly. They also re-signed Tyrese Maxey as well. So they had, so their max slot was for Paul George. They are forming that big three with George, Maxey, and Embiid. That's going to be very, very interesting. I do think that Maxey's going to slide back into the third option. But who knows? Maybe Paul George is like, Maxey, you be the second, I'll be the third. But that's just gonna have to probably just take just watching and have them just playing together in practice or games and off season stuff like that. But yeah, those two guys are got signed. Eric Gordon also got signed. Eric Gordon has been one of the best role players for the past like 6 to 8 years or so. Still able to shoot the ball at a consistent clip. Still averaging double digits, 11 per game. Mostly it's been off the bench. So, and that's still insane that he's able to still, he's like 35. Jeez, he looks so old. But I don't really know what the deal is for him as far as contractually, but he's about 6'4", 6'5" with shoes on. Just going to be a guy that if somebody gets double teamed, he's just going to be right there to shoot and or drive, kick out. So he got signed. Kyle Lowry also re-signed for another year. Caleb Martin, I don't know what the deal, what deal he signed, but he left Miami, and that's saying something if you're leaving Miami. And he's been one of their better players. One of their better players on that Miami Heat team. His brother, he has a twin brother, Cody Martin. 2021, 22 was his last like big year, I guess. And then he played 28 games last year, but I don't know if he's a free agent or not, but who really knows? But yeah, he's Caleb Martin's been playing with Miami for the past 3 years. Last year he averaged his career high 10 points a game, 35% from three, and 4 rebounds, 2 assists, almost a steal, and half a block. So he's just the guy that could just play really good defense. He plays really hard, a guy that could give you some good energy minutes, and he's a streaky shooter. In the playoffs, I don't really know what he really shoots. In the playoff, he shows up. His 2022-23 year averaged 13 points in the playoffs, and then last season, he played 23. I think that was the year when they went to the finals against Denver. They played against Denver in 23, averaged about 13 points, 42% from three. So, when he gets rolling, he can do this on a regular basis. And then last year only played 5 games. I don't remember who they played. They played Boston, so it wasn't. They weren't going to be playing long, but he averaged about 12 points a game again, 44% from three. So he's a guy that can play in the playoffs, a good role player that can play in the playoffs. That's always a good thing for an NBA player that can come off the bench and do, for sure. Andre Drummond signed 2 years, I think $10 million, something like that. 2 year 10. Basically, I think this isn't his first stint with Philly. I don't think. I'm not really sure, but I feel like he played with Philly before. In 2022, he didn't really stay there for long. He got traded from Philly to Brooklyn. But last year, Andre Drummond averaged 8 points, 9 rebounds a game, and I believe almost a block or so. 2 blocks, almost. No, just kidding. Yeah, almost a block a game. I saw personal fouls, but yeah. So, I guess it's good that he's only averaging almost 2 fouls, in 79 games coming off the bench. But yeah, he's just a guy that's going to be that backup center for Joel Embiid, which having a guy that's $5 million, that's basically $10 million for 2 years as a backup, and potential starter. I mean, that's just a no-brainer deal right there. And they're also re-signing Kelly Oubre Jr. back. So basically, most of they improved not only with Paul George. Unfortunately, they did lose Tobias Harris, but you're replacing him with Paul George and re-signing and then getting bigger with Embiid and better role pieces with this team. So Kelly Oubre, 15 points a game. He's another streaky shooter. Plays really good defense. At times he can. I'm not saying he's a lockdown defender, but he can have lockdown stops if that makes sense. He has a chance to have good timely defensive stops for maybe a stretch of a few minutes. But yeah, I mean in the playoffs, he averaged about 13 points. So, still roughly the same production from him. So yeah, this Philly team is going to be probably going to be the one that rivals Boston. The only other team that I'm going to say that's a rival, which is I'm going to talk about them now, are the New York Knicks. Boston has played their whole matchup, their whole postseason was injured / hobbled. Cleveland was hobbled. Miami was hobbled as well with Jimmy Butler not playing and Tyler Hero not playing, and Indiana with Halliburton going down, and Bennett Mather not being able to play either. Like I mentioned in the last episode. But New York did I would say, blockbuster level trade, and I only say that because they got 3 guys in this trade from Brooklyn. So the trade is the Knicks got Mikal Bridges, Keita Bates-Diop, who's a good role player, and just guy that can come off the bench. He's about 6'10" or so, can shoot the 3 and just rebound for you. And Juan Pablo Valle, or I don't know. I don't really know who this is, but the Nets received Bojan Bogdanovic, Mamadi Diakite, Shake Milton, a 2025 first round pick, 2025 first round via Milwaukee, which could be a top 4 protected, 2027 first round. 2028 first round pick swap, 2029 first rounder, 2031 first rounder. So Brooklyn got a lot of picks, and Mikal Bridges is one of the best 3-and-D guys out there. He did, since stepping out of Phoenix, he has his points per game has went up. He's being more aggressive. In 2020 and playing with Brooklyn and then in 27 games, when he got traded over, he averaged 26 points per game, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and almost a block a game. And last year, playing 82 games, in 2022-23, I think they had like a tiebreaker game, so he played 83, which you don't really see that very often. But yeah, he basically plays every game he can. And last year, he averaged almost 20 points a game, almost 5 rebounds, a steal, and 4 assists per game as well, with shooting about 37% from 3 and 44% from the field. So you're getting a guy that can play really, really good defense. He's long. They list him as 6'6", but I don't think that. I think he's about 6'7" to 6'9". So obviously with this, with the shoes on, with them listing them without shoes on, it's just irrelevant. It's dumb because if Kevin Durant is 7 feet without shoes, or Wemby, if Wemby is like, he's 7'4", so is he 7'4" without shoes on, or is he 7'4" with shoes on? really he doesn't really give a fuck because he's going to block your shot. Most likely. He's a giant. So, but yeah, about 6'7" to 6'9" wing who can play really good defense and one of the best defenders in the world. Jalen Brunson also re-signed, or not re-signed, but he got an extension. He's taking a $113 million pay cut on a 4-year extension to stay in New York. His extension is $156.5, which means he could have had a $260 million to almost $270 million extension. But he values winning, LeBron, or he wants to win because he knows that he can get there. Plus, he's young, and he can sign that bag and get the bag later. But with this, they have basically the Villanova boys with Brunson, DiVincenzo, and Bridges, which I think all three of them won a championship together in college, and then Josh Hart. My bad. That's four Villanova guys that can easily be in the starting lineup, easily by far. Josh Hart at the 3, DiVincenzo at the 2, Bridges at the 4, maybe Randall at the 5, but I feel like that's a little too small. Josh Hart's probably gonna come off the bench like he did earlier in the season, maybe DiVincenzo at the 2, so Randall could be the 4 and Robinson at the 5. But that's here nor there. Obviously, we'll see that with when Thibodeau comes back and sees what he can do with this team, and then OG is planning on signing that extension. He's planning on signing a 5-year, $212.5 million extension, or free agency deal, really. But I mean, if he comes back, I really don't. I mean, who knows? Maybe OG is at the 2 and have that long presence of the really, really good defense. But yeah, New York Knicks got a big blockbuster trade done. Re-signed Brunson or planning on re-signing OG. And I feel like the Knicks and Philly are the two teams that can basically dethrone Boston. And speaking of Boston, they basically just re-signed Derek White. He's not a free agent. They extended him, so he's getting that 31.2926 extension guaranteed. I knew that when he does that when he did win that championship, his per year salary is going to increase. So I think he's like 31.2 something per year. So after this year, that contract will start kicking in, and then they also signed Jason Tatum for that 300 max extension or max deal. I think he and White expired the same year. So when but yeah, so they signed those two. They also re-signed Xavier Tillman, Luke Cornett, Neemias Queta. He didn't really play in the postseason, but he's just another guy that can just give you rebounds. So can Tillman, and Cornette can shoot a little bit, but they have so many guys that can shoot the 3 that he just needs to just get rebounds and cut, and he's fine. So and then they re-signed Drew Peterson. I don't even know who the hell that is. But yeah, so there's that. That's that. The Bulls. The only thing that they did in this offseason, really, they ended up signing Jalen Smith from Indiana, who averaged about 10 points a game, and I can't really remember how many rebounds he had, but 10 points, almost 6 rebounds. Had a really good year. I think this was one of his better years. I think this was his career high in points. But he's playing with Tyrese Halliburton in an offense where all he needs to do is just run up and down the floor. But yeah, Jalen Smith signed with Chicago, and I'm trying to find that trade that I think it was the first one. Yeah. So on June 21st, basically last month, Thunder and the Bulls did just a player for player trade. Josh Giddey for Alex Caruso. I forgot about OKC. I didn't even talk about them with their insane re-signs and big free agent signing too. But yeah, the Bulls ended up getting Josh Giddey. Lonzo Ball hasn't been playing for the past 2 years. And then they don't have DeRozan anymore. They re-signed Patrick Williams. Patrick Williams has been that one of the guys that they drafted that's been a really good player for him so far. He just needs to be healthy. He 2022 in the 23 season, he played 82 games. He's got potential. It's just injuries, really. Last year, only played 43 games. But he's shown improvement, or trying to show improvement. But, they don't have a playmaker anymore now with Caruso gone and DeRozan's gone. Ball's still hurt. Caruso's now gone. I think I just already said that. But Kobe White's not the playmaker that both Caruso and Lonzo Ball were. So, Chicago's getting that playmaker. He's about 6'7". It's just he needs to work on his shot. For sure, not with kids though. But he needs to get better with three because in the postseason they were just daring him to shoot. For the regular season, he shot about 34% from three, 48% from the field. So, he's a guy that can play make. He's about 6'8", 6'9". That last year was his third year. So he's going into his fourth year now. And he got drafted in the top 10. So, but yeah, I really do think that this scandal this year really messed him up mentally. So maybe he can, have a better year next year in a new environment and new coach, new system, everything like that. So that was all the Bulls really did, other than just give away guys. We're gonna talk about the Kings because there was another Bull that was there. DeMar DeRozan did go to Sacramento in a sign and trade. The sign and trade was like 3 years, 70 to 76. It's up. The deal is up to 76, but it's a guaranteed 70 million to Sacramento. The sign and trade. DeRozan goes to Sacramento. The Spurs will get Harrison Barnes, and Chicago will get Chris Duarte, which is a 3-and-D guy that can play defense, very athletic. Chicago will get 2 second-round picks and cash. So DeMar DeRozan, he averaged 24, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. 3-point, he's not really a 3-point shooter, but he averaged about 33 points a game, and he shot 48% from the floor. He's been the past several years. There's this Clutch Player of the Year award, and he's been in the top 5 since that award and that stat has been relevant in the NBA. But yeah, he's a 20-point per game scorer. For his career, he's averaging 21. But yeah, I think that this trade works for Sacramento, and I say this because they have guys that can dribble and drive. Obviously, with De'Aaron Fox getting better with his 3-point shot as the years have been going on, he's not really a 3-point shooter either. He's more of a mid-range game, but last year his shot was 37%, so he's getting better with his 3-point percentages. But he's more of a guy that's going to try to go either get to the basket, get people involved, or shoot the mid-range. That was his bread and butter in college. And he's been perfecting that since he's been in the league and since he got drafted. But you have him at the 1. I think DeRozan will be at the 2, or the 3. I'm not really sure. I think where, at least for my, how I think that this is going to work, is DeRozan's going to be at the 3. Or probably at the 3. Kevin Huerter, he did get injured last year, so he didn't really help out in the playoffs as well. And Malik Monk didn't play in the playoffs, so that kind of sucked. Excuse me for 1 second. But yeah, Kevin Huerter's probably gonna be at the 2, DeRozan at the 3, Keegan Murray at the 4, and Sabonis at the 5. So it really expands the floor out for Huerter and Murray on the outside. And then, if one of them gets to the basket or a double team, DeRozan can also dribble drive and kick out to Murray or Huerter. So it's, in theory, based off of what I just spoke about, it seems that the team will fit. It seems great. But obviously, we just have to see it play out. Malik Monk re-signed with the Kings. I don't really know I don't even know if I wrote it on this first piece of paper I had. But he re-signed for, I think, $60 million or something. I'm not really sure. I'll probably put that in this information. Or at least above me, and then Alex Len re-signed with the Kings, just another big body. I don't know if JaVale McGee is still on the team or not. I heard on Gil's Arena that he signed somewhere else. But hold on, let me. He should still be with the Kings, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, he is a free agent, so he is 36. So who knows if he's going to resign, if he's going to sign anywhere. I still think he deserves a job, but we'll see what happens. But really, that's all the Kings did. They ended up getting another slasher to pair with De'Aaron Fox and potentially get better with a different offensive system potentially this next upcoming season. The next big, the next big team that did a lot of moves with signings and stuff were Phoenix. Phoenix with last year getting Bradley Beal with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. There's not a lot of cap space to use in free agency. There's just not. And with that being said, they need a lot of guys on the vet minimum, or the guys that that obviously try to re-sign the guys that were on the team last year. Royce O'Neal is a guy that they ended up trading for from Brooklyn. And he played well for him. He's a guy that's going to shoot the three, play defense, and just do the little things for the team. He played 25 minutes, and he averaged about 8 points and shot about 38%. So he's coming back. Bol is coming back. Hopefully he gets a better chance to develop or more playing time. I just don't understand why he's not in Orlando. He played 70 games. He almost averaged he averaged 9, but that was his first year of actually playing a whole season of basketball. He did go on stretches where he did score about 15 to 20 points a game, but he's just not consistent. And I know Shaq said that he's just lazy and just really doesn't give a fuck, but I I mean, he ended up getting 22 minutes, and then that next year with Frank Vogel with 11, and he's about 7'4". And if you had a size issue last year, you're not going to put him in to try to get any rebounds. You're going to get 6'9", and then when Nurkic gets in foul trouble, if he's the starter, you're going to give Drew Eubanks and then the next guy after. And you clearly have this guy who's taller than almost everybody. Does he need weight? Absolutely, for his frame. But, I mean, he's a guy that's going to be able to get you rebounds and, I don't want to say protect the rim, but he can alter shots with him being 7'3", 7'4", but that's just, like Frank Vogel got canned. I don't think he should have gotten fired, but, it is what it is. But, hopefully whoever does coach Phoenix, and I think the coach is out, I just don't know his name, but I'll put that information somewhere in here as well. So he re-signed. Mason Plumlee signed from the Clippers. He's just a guy that's who's a really, really good rebounder. He's 6'10". He's a guy he's just a guy that gets rebounds. Pick and roll. He's a phenomenal passer as a big man in the pick and roll. Whatever pass you need to make. Obviously, he's not like Luka or anything, but he'll make the fundamental pass if need be. But he's just a guy that can just get rebounds for you. Monte Morris played in Detroit last year, but he was on the good Denver Nugget teams before the championship team. He wasn't on that, I don't think. No, he wasn't. But he's just a good veteran guy. I think this is going to go into his 6th or 7th year, maybe 9th. Who knows? I'm trying to read Basketball Reference right now. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Going into his 8th year. Way off, but yeah. And I have glasses. I still can't fucking read. But he's going into his 8th year. He's just going to be a guy that comes off the bench, shoots about 39% from three and 41% from the field. And then Josh Okogie re-signed. He's just a guy that is a good spark plug off the bench, can play defense, streaky shooter. They don't really have a bona fide shooters other than Grayson Allen. And I think Damian Lee does fit that description too. Damian Lee also signed. Damian Lee, 38% shooter from three, averaged 8 points last year. And Josh Okogie is just a guy, he shot 31% from three, but like I said, he's a streaky shooter, but he takes pride in his defense. He averages just about a steal every year for every game per year, or that's his average. Jesus. But yeah, he's just a guy that plays defense, plays really, really hard. But yeah, that's all that Phoenix did. That's all that they can do is just get guys that are on the veteran minimum or just like small contracts for like a year or two. But yeah, I think Phoenix did just what they could, basically just to see. Nothing really happened. Nothing really changed other than getting Mason Plumlee. So, but yeah, that's probably their best acquisition this year. But we'll see how Phoenix does this year. I don't really know how he's going to play this year, but I know that one of their guys left, Drew Eubanks. He was just an undersized center. I think he's a free agent. No, he went to Utah. That's right. Yeah, he went to Utah, I think. Yeah. He signed with Utah. So, Utah. He's just a guy that's going to play hard. His stats last year, 5 points, 4 rebounds, assists, and he shot 60% from the floor when he was able to get any opportunity to score, which was very little. But yeah, he's joined a team with lots of draftees, Cody Williams, Jalen Williams' brother, Kyle Filipowski, AKA Groomy, and Laurie Markkinen, John Collins. Colin Sexton, I think, is still on this team. Yeah, Colin Sexton's still there. Walker Kessler's been really great. Darius Baisley, who was previously with the last time I saw him play on NBA roster was with the Thunder. Jordan Clarkson's the sixth man. Isaiah Collier from USC. But yeah, it's just lots of guys. Keontae George was there last year, and Taylor Horton-Tucker was there last year as well. But they're just a young team that needs to get things figured out. But they're in the West, so they're probably not going to make the playoffs in the next. Maybe in the next probably 4 years. Fifth year potentially, just depends on who they keep and if Markkinen stays. That's the big thing for Utah. Miami, other than really losing Caleb Martin, and he didn't even go out west. He went to the 76ers in the same conference. Haywood Highsmith, he's a guy that's just going to that plays hard. Miami's basically the team where you just the way you're going to be playing is if you play hard. He's really young. Well, not really. He's young, but he's going into in the later years of his prime. At 27, he averaged about 6 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist, about 40% from three and 47% from the field. In the playoffs this year, he averaged about 5, but he was playing against Boston. He played 25 minutes. And Shaq is always like, well, if you're in the role players have to play well at home, and if you want to be a good team in the playoffs, then either your numbers have to elevate or stay the same. Particularly elevate, of course, but in 66 games, he averaged about 6, but he's just a guy that's just going to play hard, and he's on the wing, and, just do whatever Spoelstra and Pat Riley tell you to do, honestly. Kevin Love is coming back, just a guy that's just veteran leadership, shoot the three, and get rebounds and throw those outlet passes. That's about it of his value right now in this stage of his career. Alec Burks, who played with Detroit, and then he also played with the Knicks last year. Averaged about 10 off the bench, about 38% from three and 37% from the field. So, he's just a guy that's going to get shots up. A guy that's not really afraid to get shots. If it's a bad shot and he thinks he's open, he's just going to shoot it. But he played 66 games, like I said, averaged 10. He did almost get a steal playing with Detroit, but that's not his game. His game is just to score. But yeah, he's going to Miami. They need lots of bench scoring with Hero being out. They just need another guy to give him offense. And this is a good guy to pick up to do that for sure. And then the last guy that I know of that they signed, that they re-signed Thomas Bryant. Thomas Bryant, I think, is one of the underrated guys in this league. He won the championship with Denver in 23. He left the Lakers to join that team and win. He only played 18 games, but they traded him late. And, he just plays real hard. He plays really hard. I just really feel like he just needs the minutes to play. He needs more than 11 minutes. When he was with the Lakers, he was playing about 21 minutes. This was when AD was down, and they needed guys to play that position. He was averaging 12 points, about 7 rebounds, almost a block a game. And then he was shooting 56% from the. Oh no, he was. Where is that? He was shooting 62% from the floor and 44% from three. That was in 41 games with the Lakers. 41 games with the Lakers. So, like if you just give him the time, he's going to give you those numbers. You just have to be patient or just try to develop him. He's going into age 27 and not even giving, and he's not even living up to his potential because they're not giving that to him and giving him that opportunity. So hopefully he gets more of that opportunity this year. Again in Miami. He only played 38 games last year. I don't know if it was also due to injury, but or maybe hopefully it's not a lot of DNPs, or coaches' decisions. But yeah, he needs the minutes, man. He deserves the minutes. He works hard, plays hard too, and has that intensive energy and intensity. So, but yeah, that was the only other moves that Miami did as of right now, which is July 12th. But yeah, so that was that, and for Miami, for New Orleans and Atlanta, I will do these two at the same time because both teams did a trade which impacted both their free agency. So, trying to see if I have it on my paper. I just want to see if I have a better picture on. Nope, it's on my paper. So. I'm going to start with New Orleans. New Orleans ended up signing Daniel Tice, which they ended up losing Jonas Valanciunas. Tice is about 6'9", so he's a little bit smaller than him. But at the same time, Tice is a great rebounder, stretches the floor, and is a corner three threat to space the floor, probably for Zion. But I would say that Tice is a better three-point shooter than Valanciunas is. But other than that pickup, there's the DeJounte Murray trade. And the New Orleans Pelicans get DeJounte Murray. That's basically the only moves that from free agency that New Orleans did. So that's why I'm grouping these two teams together, because Atlanta gets Dyson Daniels, who is still working on his three-point shooting. He got drafted because of his defensive ability. He's 6'8", 6'9", who is a freakish defending athlete. He averages about last year, almost averaged about 2 steals. His 3-point shooting is still, like I said, he's still working on it. He's shooting about 31%, and is just a guy that's going to play defense and be a transition threat, transition guy. EJ Little, another guy. Or EJ Liddell. He only played 8 games, so it's just a guy, just another prospect guy. He's 23, so and he's got the same birthday as I do. Let's fucking go. But he only played 1 year, only played 8 games. He's 23 years old, so I don't know if he was a product of G League or not, but he's in the deal. Larry Nance Jr. is also going to Atlanta as well. His 3-point percentage and 3-point shooting has been getting a lot better. So he's a guy that's going to be able to shoot the corner threes for you. He gives you rebounds, athleticism, energy. For being undersized at a power forward position who potentially plays center and smaller lineups, you can't really ask for a better player as far as with the tools that he has and what he's able to bring in a trade like this. And then they also get Cody Zeller. Cody Zeller is just a guy that's going to be able to just give you pick and rolls, rebound the ball for you. He played in New Orleans last year, played half the season basically, only played 7 minutes, so didn't really have lots of production. Cody Zeller did play for Miami that in the previous year, in 2022-23, averaged about 7 points, about 4 rebounds, and about an assist per game in 15 games. So yeah. Don't really know what Atlanta's going to do with those players. They're probably going to keep Larry Nance and Dyson Daniels for sure. And who knows with A.J. Liddell and Cody Zeller. We don't really know. But they also got a 2025 first rounder via Lakers, a 2027 first round, the least favorite of the Bucks/Pelicans. But if it's in the top 4, I believe it goes to Atlanta. If it's a top 4 pick, which is also going to be protected. So that is that with Atlanta. The other we only have 3 teams left, but this other team we're going to talk about, OKC. The Thunder just re-signed 2 guys. Isaiah Joe re-signed. Aaron Wiggins also re-signed. Isaiah Joe averaged 8.2 points per game, but he was able to shoot the ball really well this year. There it is. This year, he played 78 games, played the entire year, shot 42% from 3 and 46% from the field. I don't know if he started any of these games or not, but he can shoot. He played really good defense. In the games that he did play against Dallas, he did play fairly well as far as being in the starting lineup. And the other guy that re-signed is Aaron Wiggins. Aaron Wiggins is another guy that's just a shooter, or at least as of now, that's what he's labeled as. But throughout the regular season, just letting it refresh for me. It's going to take, but he's 6'5", Isaiah Joe's 6'3", but in the regular season, Aaron Wiggins averaged 3 rebounds and an assist per game. He also shot 49% from 3, 56% from the field, and he also played 78 games. Huge re-signings for him. I don't really know as far as the deal what they agreed to, but the biggest signing that they did, obviously those 2 are big, but Isaiah Hartenstein, obviously we know him from the Knicks run last year. He played incredible in the playoffs. In the regular season, he averaged about 9 rebounds, 8 points, and 3 assists. In the playoffs, he averaged 8.5 points a game, basically 59% from the field. As far as rebounds, he averaged almost 8 and almost 4 assists and almost a block. That was in the playoffs and regular season. He didn't really average. I don't think he averaged that much better. He basically got paid for his postseason efforts with the Knicks. Yeah, basically about the same. I've read off his regular season stats first, but basically about the same. I think his points might have gone up maybe a point or 2, and then he got more rebounds, slightly. But but these guys that they re-signed and signed Hartenstein, they are younger than 27. So, I mean, this team's going to be young. They're really hungry, and they also have a good backup center if Chet goes down, and they can just fill in this guy who's going to give every single rebound and play his ass off. I'm trying to figure out where it is. Oh, I didn't have it on my paper. But yeah, we only have 2 teams left, guys. We only have 2 teams left. I promise I know these 2 episodes of NBA free agency have been massive. Just because there's a lot, I had to find lots of stats and basically be keeping in touch with a lot of these Woj bombs, Bleacher Report alerts, Shams alerts, and Haynes learns from Chris Haynes. So, but yeah, the second last team is the San Antonio Spurs. They basically did a lot of their stuff through the draft, which is basically the template of San Antonio basketball and Greg Popovich basketball. I'm trying to figure out who they did get. Through the draft this year. I know they got this Stephen Castle. I think that's his name. They ended up getting Stephon Castle from UConn to be that defender. Obviously Jay Billis was saying that he needs to work on his three-point shot a little bit, but he's going to be a guy that's going to be a good defender out the gate. And Harrison Ingram, and then who I don't even really know who that is, but it was a second rounder. And then 2023 draft pick CD Sissoko. I don't know who that is either. I do know that sometimes international players can get drafted, but they have to wait a year till they come over. So I don't know if that's what that is. But yeah, they got 3 guys through the draft, and then they end up signing Chris Paul for an $11 million deal, and getting Harrison Barnes from the Sacramento Kings in that trade. So, like I said earlier in some of these episodes of the podcast, San Antonio Spurs have a chance to be a top 5 team in the next 5 years. Now going on 4, with Wemby being on after this rookie year. I really don't know how this is going to work with some of the with this team, because obviously it's going to be really good with Chris Paul mentoring Wemby. Awesome. I mean, Chris Paul could potentially be there for the rest of his career if he wanted to. But do I think Chris Paul is going to be the starter? I do not. I really think that Trey Jones is going to be the starter because that's their future. Trey Jones is their futuristic point guard going forward. He averaged 10 points a game. He's in the top 20 assists of all the NBA with 6.2 assists. And he was in the top 50 in field goal percentage with 51. Now his 3-point percentage is getting better. He wasn't a good college 3-point shooter, and his free throw percentage has been getting better too. In college, he was for some reason, both brothers in college had trouble with free throw percentages. So, but yeah, Trey Jones has been working on his game since he's come into the league. He basically shot 34% from 3, so he's only going to get better with that. Devin Vassell is probably their second option. 20 points a game, 4 points, 1 assist, and 47% from the field as well. I would say that, he's just young. I think this is his second year or something like that. He's like, just kidding. He's going into his 5th NBA season. I forgot that he had that, because I know he signed an extension. I just didn't know which extension it was. But yeah, that was the max rookie extension he signed, I think, last year, going into this year, or going into last season. And then, obviously with Sohan, he's going to be there. He's just a guy that can play make. He's a guy that can also rebound and defend. I don't like him being the playmaker and bringing up the ball, because that should be Trey Jones's job. It should be Trey Jones's job. Sohan should just try to work on his 3-point shooting and defense and getting rebounds. That should be his niche with this team, because Wemby should get the ball at least one time down the court. He was in the top 30 in points per game. As rookie, he hit He hit. He had 21.4 points a game. He was in the top 10 in rebounds with 10.6, top 70 in assists with 3.9, and 46.5% from the field, which was in the top, basically top 100. Let's just say he was 81st technically, but in blocks, I think he led the league in blocks with 3.6, almost 4 blocks a game. Averaged a steal. Like, dude's an alien. One of the best prospects, maybe the best prospect we've ever seen. But yeah, I mean, this guy's going to be turning 21 January 4th. So, you know, this team, like I said, has the potential to be a top 5 team in the next 4 more years now. Plus, you have Stefan Castle being that defender coming off the bench. I mean, their record was 22-60 last year. I really think that this year is going to be a little bit better. Wemby's going to get better. Chris Paul is going to be with him, more mentorship, more leadership. Vassell's going to get better. Harrison Barnes, you bring him in with another veteran guy, championship culture with him, you know, and, you know, just to talk about Harrison Barnes, he's not the Harrison Barnes with Golden State and Dallas, and maybe when he was younger with Sacramento. He's 32. You know, Dallas, he averaged 19, basically almost 20 points. And then Sacramento, his points have been fluctuating between 14 to 17 or so. Last year, I wouldn't say he had a bad year. I just wouldn't say that he didn't score as much. I mean, it's not that he got worse. But I mean, his percentages basically were the same, you know. So, but yeah, you bring him in as well. So that's also a good pickup for them. And the last team is Golden State. Golden State had an issue with Klay Thompson, which is terrible. Obviously, most of everybody wants a happy ending. Some people like that Klay took the villain role and left. But other than that, they ended up signing D'Anthony Melton, who I think is one of the underrated guards in this league. Obviously, he's not like a star or anything like that, but as far as a role player, he's very crucial to any team he's on. He played in Memphis. He played in Phoenix, but that was only for a short stint. He played in Memphis for several years. Top 10 and 6th man of the year voting. He averaged about 10 with Memphis, with almost a steal. The guy can play defense. He can shoot. 38% last year. He shot 39% from the floor, but he shot 36% from 3. Only played 38 games, so he's injured most of the year. But the year before that, when he was healthy, he averaged about 10, 39% from 3, and 43% from the field. So, and with almost averaging 2 steals a game. So they're getting a guy that can play defense, another guy that can fill in the shoes of Klay Thompson in the starting lineup. But we'll see what happens with that. And then they also signed Buddy Hield, another shooter that can basically just shoot the lights up. One of the best 3-point shooters in the league. I would say he's definitely in the conversation for top 10, arguably top 5 shooters in the league for sure. And then they end up getting Kyle Anderson in that trade, that sign and trade with Philly, and you know, that whole trade or whatever, which which is a good trade for Golden State, because they also get another playmaker just in case Draymond Green just wants to punch the living shit out of somebody. But it was a good. I mean, Golden State did good for unfortunately Klay Thompson leaving. I feel like they did well. I don't think that they're going to be. They're not a contender, I would say. I mean, I know if you have Steph Curry, you have a chance, but I mean, Klay Thompson is Klay Thompson, and I don't think that Wiggins is going to be able to play like he did when they won the championship. Draymond's getting older, and I just don't think that. I think the teams in the Western Conference got better, except the Lakers. Minnesota got better, I would say. Phoenix is staying the same. Dallas got a little bit better. Sacramento got better. Denver got worse, but Denver's still Denver with Jokic, Gordon, Murray, and Porter Jr. I mean, I know there's Charlotte. I forgot maybe one other team, but Charlotte in that 6-team trade got Josh Green, Reggie Jackson, but they also signed Miles Bridges. I think that was the only other guy that got signed that I didn't say. But I think I have, no. Let me find it. It's in my phone or somewhere. Oh, also Cade Cunningham. I just saw the picture. He signed 5-year, $225 million. Yeah, I can't find it. But yeah, Cade Cunningham, 5-year, 224. The deal is up to 269 probably with incentives. But yeah, Miles Bridges, 3 years, $75 million to the Charlotte Hornets. So that was the last free agent guy. But yeah, I mean, Miles Bridges, if he didn't have that scandal, I really think that he would have been a max player. And I really feel like that. And I really do think that because Miles Bridges, that year, I feel like he was an all-star snub. That year, he was averaging 20 a game, 7 boards, 4 assists, a steal, and a block, and he was shooting 33% from 3 and 49% from the field. Guarantee you, max dollars, and guarantee you that if the Lakers had a chance to get this guy, they probably would have. But, even last year he played 69 games. He still averaged 21, 7, a steal, almost a steal, half a block a game, shot 34% from 3 and 46% from the field. So unfortunately, he's going back to Charlotte, who's fucking ass. But yeah, that is all of the free agency news that I have. I know that both these episodes were long and very, very thought out. But yeah, in this next episode, I know hopefully there's going to be some free agent news next time in this next episode. That's not going to just be NBA related. But I do know that MLB All-Star Games next week, the Home Run Derby's next week. So this upcoming week is going to be mostly baseball. And maybe some sprinkled in with some special segments from Movie Monday. I've seen lots of movies. I've seen lots of shows. Hopefully, I'll be able to do that with you guys next time. So y'all have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.